And yeah, grab anything you like. So, right now in your class, you're actually implementing things where you're taping for people to see themselves, or what exactly are you doing?
Well, in the past, you used to go to an acting class and you work on a scene, and possibly you go learn it, you bring it back, and you rehearse it and perform it, and get feedback, and work on your craft. But today, actors are no longer just being actors because we're in a very progressive industry where there's a lot of new opportunities, a lot of new ways of doing everything. The business models have changed, distribution models, funding models, filming models, the way we do everything has changed, and actors can't just depend on finding an agent. In fact, in most cases, when you find an agent, you sit there with an agent that doesn't do very much for you. Unless that agent really sees your talent, believes in you, doesn't just look at you commercially, but really has a feeling about how to build your career, and that's a rarity. So with so many people coming into the industry, so many outlets, distribution outlets, cable stations, networks, all this stuff, actors today are starting to realize that I can't wait on an agent, a manager, I can't wait to be cast in the right project, and even trying to get good film on yourself. Right. From a movie or something you did, trying to get a role that actually shows you doing great work.
Rather than just being background or something.
So I tell people, I said, you don't show up on the grid. Nobody knows who you are until they see it. And they're not going to see it if you're waiting for somebody else to see it first, to cast you in the right thing.
So part of this endeavor puts people in the way of that sort of thing they can see on YouTube or something? Or
well, you have to be a proactive, empowered actor. And number one starts to go, okay, I'm an actor, I'm an artist, but how often do artists get taken advantage of? How often are they disrespected? How often are they not appreciated? Unless they're famous. If they're famous, then everybody bows down. But I said the way that most successful actors make it is never a traditional path. Each actor has to find their own unique acting process that works the most effectively for you. And then you got to find your own pathway into the business. And the ones that really succeed the most always do it out of the box. And I said, the more you start to learn the business of the art, so that you're not just a artist that turns his power over to everybody, waiting on everybody to love you.
And you talk with them about these things, the business part of it?
They don't have to recognize you, get it, do it for you, because you're always in the waiting position. Right. Why don't you start thinking about, who am I? What do I have to offer? Find out what kind of roles and parts bring out your best performances. Right. Find out the kind of material, and then start learning how to put it all together. And in this day and age, you can find the equipment, you can find crews, you can find people for very little money, and start developing shorts, even pilots that you pitch to networks.
Sure.
Start thinking in a more proactive, more aggressive way on how to take you.
Well, it seems like producers are much more open to this sort of thing now. If you can get something down, if you can show something or whatever.
Think of it this way. If I look at your reel,
right,
and you struggle to get a couple of great lines here, maybe a partial scene over here, but it just shows you being okay, good, but not great, not memorable.
You don't knock over the scenery, but
it's a meaningless, that trailer's not going to get you anything, and that's what most actors have. So why not put together your own reel? There's so many creative, talented people around these days.
Oh, I see. So you actually help them put together reels
we film
where they can see
in class.
Yes.
We film everything. Why? I've seen Academy Award-winning performances in class. But how often does that kind of performance get on film? How often are you
Not
in
much
the
when
right
you've got a two-word line.
No, so my thought is we film everything, and then when you do some extraordinary work, because we're so aggressive in finding the right material, developing the right material, and if it's not you, somebody else who's a writer in class sees you, gets to know you, and goes, ooh, I'm going to write this scene for you, and then we're going to put this together, because when you do this kind of material, you pop.
Right.
And so we film it, and then now you've got a scene showing you doing something that nobody else knows you can do. Agents don't know you can do.
Right.
Casting people don't know you because they've never seen it.
Well, this is great. And you're very passionate about this. So
it's all about becoming visible. But most actors, they're not empowered, they don't know who they are, they don't know what their assets are, they don't even know the kind of material that brings out their best performance, and most of them don't even know how to get to the most exciting performance because they have no craft.
So more than just working with them for their money to come to class or something like that, you're literally trying to mentor them both with their craft and then also with their business acumen and their mind as to how to maybe attack the whole problem, the whole situation.
I think for me, I've learned one thing about this business, that most people, they have a piece of the puzzle.
Right.
Even filmmakers never learn the business of the art. If they're lucky enough to get their film made, they don't know how to sell it, they don't know how to distribute it, they don't know how to raise the money, they don't even know how to use the money wisely, they don't even know how to deal with the logistics of it. They struggle to roll that camera and get it together, but they never learn the business of the art. And I don't know why they don't teach that in film school. Actors never learn the business of the art. In fact, actors used to think I'm an artist.
Well, you're
I'm not one of those
that, though.
business guys.
What do you call your class?
Well, we call it the Richard Hatch Actors Lab.
Sure.
And then I'm adding Actors Lab and Filming Workshop because we're all about working on the craft of the acting.
Sure.
And I help each actor to find where their strengths are, to find out how to maximize their abilities. And the big thing is to learn how to get to the best
And this
performance.
is something that you're still kind of in development of to get it to where you really want it to be?
Oh no, it's an evolution, but I've been here for 2 years here. I've taught all over the country. I teach at colleges,
Do you have a website
universities.
that's going to start showing a lot of this stuff?
Yes, and we're actually putting up a YouTube channel. We're going to be showing not only the work that goes on in class and the feedback and then the things that we do, but we're going to start filming people's behind the scenes, selfies of people sharing the experience they're having in this business, the process of what they go through, developing their actor craft, developing their ability to penetrate the marketplace, learning both the craft, the art, and the business of the art. So they become a fully empowered artist that no longer gets taken advantage of and abused by the industry, right?
Yeah, well, I remember years ago, you did that thing where it was all hurry up and wait. You would get yourself to a certain point, you felt like you were a good actor, you did all the calls, you went to central casting at 4:35 in the morning so you could get in line, and then you would do this thing where you'd wake up in the morning at 9 or 10 in the morning, and because you're up all night, trying to connect with people, and then you just pull the sheet back over the top of your head and just lay there going, when is my phone going to ring? That's not proactive at all, is it?
That's the actor's lament.
Right.
That's also the writer's lament.
Right.
And what I talk about today is instead of waiting for anything, and by the way, even back in the day when I was on Battlestar Galactica, I noticed that the actors, not even the most talented actors, but the actors that succeeded the most were the ones that weren't waiting for a casting session, weren't waiting for the network to put them in something. They actually found a proactive manager they would team with, and they would package their actors in a story with other actors and other assets, and now take it into the network on a whole other level, on a much higher level. And they were taken more seriously, and they were able to put their own shows together. Those actors succeeded long beyond some of the more talented actors that had no business sense and were not with a manager that actually worked with them to develop projects that utilize their actors' best skills, personality, and find a way to project it into the marketplace. Today, we all have to become entrepreneurial, but that doesn't negate the artist. The artist and the business side of your equation, and you may not be as talented in the business side, but if you learn the business side, then you build a team around you to develop how to penetrate the marketplace way beyond waiting for an audition, way beyond waiting for an actor, a casting person or an agent to call you. You actually put together not only small presentations, a 5-minute short, 10-minute short, 20-minute short, send it to film festivals where you get to meet other producers, actors, and writers that are putting their own projects together, indie projects that may end up at Sundance, end up at any other place where your work gets seen, but you're also putting together, thinking on a whole other level of going, what kind of series, what kind of story, what kind of thing can I put together utilizing my unique actor skills, but also my sensitivities, the kind of story and project that brings out my best effort put together that crew, that team, go film it, put together a 15, 20-minute pilot, and then learn and not be afraid to actually go to all the different outlets and go pitch it, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, people are even developing things like Felicia Day. She couldn't get jobs after she got off of Buffy, right?
Right.
Couldn't get hired. She developed this concept called The Guild, which was all about gamers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And she developed it, and she put it online, and it started to build a following because online it's very viral. And she started developing a following, and in the first year she funded it with her and her producer friend, partner, themselves. Didn't cost much. Second year, they had so many people loving the show, they found a way, which was a forerunner to the Kickstarter campaigns,
Sure.
where the audience could actually support the show by donating $50, $100, $150. The third year, they had such a huge audience of hundreds of thousands, I think they even went into the millions, of people that all the advertisers cared. Now, this not only developed her...
So that was bringing the industry, she brought the industry to her because she realized that they weren't going to her, and she had to basically...
She developed
she had
her
to do it
brand,
herself, yeah.
she developed her personality, her presence out there in the audience. And by the way, the industry is always looking for what? They want to take something that's been tested in the marketplace, that they now can come on board and say, this person has a following. So guess what? She got cast in Eureka. She got cast on these other shows as a result of her success on her own show that she had online.
Neil Patrick Harris did something like that.
And then they also raised money. The advertisers came in and said, we're going to give you a bunch of money to develop online programming. So now she has several shows going, and that woman has lines around the block at all these conventions around the country.
Sure.
That woman is one of the most popular women. She's a writer, producer, she's an empowered artist, and that's where we're all going.
So it teaches people something. It kind of is the same thing as the artist giving back. And that's what you're doing now. You're giving back as well.
I'm acting in a lot of projects. I'm doing one of the best movies I've ever done, best roles I've ever done in this movie called Diminuendo.
Right.
Gigi Ederle from Farscape, and then Lauren, I can never think of her last name. She's one of the actresses from the new Battlestar, is in it. She's playing a wonderful role. It's a wonderfully written script. We're filming in August. And then I'm doing two other projects that I'm actually up for. So I'm doing a lot of acting, but I'm also directing. I'm writing. I'm developing new ideas. I have a game, electronic game being developed off of my Guam title, GWOM. I'm operating in a multi-diverse way, which is what I work with my students. I go, artists, you need to find ways to create money streams.
Right.
Coming from multiple directions so that you don't have to work that 8 to 5 job.
Sure.
But you have the money to support you. And how do you do that? Well, you got to find out all the ways that you can channel all these innate talents that you have that maybe you haven't looked at or embraced. Yeah. Because you may be more than just the actor.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a part of you, I have a wonderful woman in class that, my God, she's an amazing teacher. She's an amazing speaker. She inspires people. She's really insightful. So I helped her to do her first directing thing. And then I thought, why isn't she teaching, why isn't she doing a workshop herself? Why isn't she doing coaching? She's naturally wired that way, right? I have another lady she's a gymnast, and she's in class. I said, you're struggling for money. Why aren't you doing coaching children in gymnastics, doing private coaching?
Sure.
Why don't you take these skills? You could also be an exercise coach because you were an Olympic gymnast, so you've got some credibility in that area.
Sure.
Why aren't you doing all these things that you can do on your own time and schedule in your own way so that it frees you to create the time that you need to do all the writing and producing and directing you're now doing?
Well, that is the trick, and even myself, I've been there where, luckily, I've been able to fall back on being able to do unique, one-off custom car designing, and go and sing in events. And when people would ask me, oh, so are you a singer, or are you an actor in musicals, or are you and I always tell them, I'm just an artist. All these things are the same to me, whether I'm doing the car or whether I'm doing this. They all have elements of creation.
Have you done any corporate events?
I have. I sang for the Democratic National Event.
Well, and what I mean is, have you ever put together a presentation to send out to corporations because they have their corporate gatherings and events, and you could be the host, you present, you interact, you write up maybe a little skit that you could have somebody write with you.
It's a good idea if anybody's watching today. There you go. Folks.
All the executives that work in the corporation, what you do is you write up a funny thing about each of them.
Right.
And you have a little opening monologue that you put together with maybe a friend who's really good helping develop that. You sing a song, you orchestrate the whole evening, and they pay you a lot of money. You go to Hawaii, you go to Florida, you go to all these corporate events held at these lovely hotels. You have such a nice demeanor, look, quality, energy about you. And plus, you're a talented singer. You're very insightful. You're a wonderful communicator. And that would be a whole business for you. That would generate more money than you've ever had in your life, and that would free you to do all the other things that you want to do.
Then how am I going to get to Richard Hatch's?
Because I'm in the middle of the week, and all these events are held on weekends.
That's great. Good answer.
Just like me, I travel on the weekend. I go out all over the world. I just got back from Scarborough, England.
How was that?
I wish it would have been a little longer, and I should have given I was supposed to go for 2 events, 2 weekends, and then I would have had the week to run around and see the countryside. But it was a long ways to go for a 2-3 day event, and then to come back right away. But I came back from my class, and I would have stayed had I had someone with me, or I had another event the following week, which I was hoping to have.
The people had a good time, though?
Everybody had a great time. It was beautiful in Scarborough, England. It's a beautiful, charming town on the sea with a castle on the top of the hill. It's a resort area that everybody comes to all over England.
Is there a restaurant or a place that you ate that you have a shout out for?
Oh, they had, well, I don't even remember the name. I went to an incredible Indian restaurant in town. Also, we had a bed and breakfast overlooking the ocean and the beach.
What was the name of that place? Do you remember? The name of the bed and breakfast? It's okay.
They put me up there. They took care of all that.
But delightful people.
They took me around, but everybody was very nice.
Sure.
But anyway, the point I'm making is it's just we're in a time frame when I used to teach Tony Robbins type seminars, working on marketing, working on leveraging yourself into the marketplace, learning on communication, dealing with learning where your assets and liabilities are, and all that stuff kind of is woven into this theatrical entertainment industry, because I find that so many people, there's so many parts of the equation that they haven't addressed, and therefore their hands are tied behind their back, and they have all these abilities and they're going nowhere. And so one of the things that I've always naturally been wired to do is kind of to help people to start developing all sides of the equation, and that's why I wanted an all-encompassing class. I want to, my next step is to kind of get a warehouse where I can do seminars, weekend intensives, where I can do green screens and filming, where I can do all of that stuff there, just like a home base. I'm at somebody else's theater right now, and he kind of made a statement. He said, until I got my own theater, you're always in somebody else's space. I can't even market at this theater, my class, because it's his workshops and his stuff. So anyway, it's a starting place, and I've taught for many, many years, but I never really, someone said this to me last year, do you look at this as a business? And I go, no, it's kind of a professional hobby. I've been doing it for 30 years. But I've always just done the acting thing, and then I kind of went away from the acting thing, and I was teaching acting for other people. But I always looked at it as a kind of a sideline, and I never fully embraced it. And she really made an important point that made me have to. Why was I keeping it at arm's length? Because on some level, like so many actors, they feel if they utilize any of their other skills, they're cheating on the actor part of themselves. It's like, wait, does that mean I'm giving up on me as an actor? No. It's actually beginning to move out and utilize all these skills and talents you have, and then what I find is it all feeds back to the artist in you and makes you an even better artist.
So you feel like you're actually gaining from the experience as well from your students?
Can I tell you that putting this all together and beginning to embrace this has taken the whole class to a whole other level. I mean, I've had to get into the whole new digital marketing age,
Sure.
learning the art form, because this is another area. I used to be really good knowing how to market. I used to teach it in my workshop, but I hadn't done that for several years, and the world and the marketplace has changed. And developing an art form for marketing your unique skills and talents and knowing how to effectively do it, that's an art form everybody has to learn, because you can be the most talented person in the whole world. You can have these wonderful gifts and talents and assets and things that you could trade in the marketplace, and yet you don't know how to penetrate the market. You don't know how to build a case and communicate